What a profound joy it is to welcome you, the good people of Neverwinter, to the resumption of the High Sun Game.
If we stay together, we survive.
Pleased to bring you the Legionnaires of Scipio Africana!
Begin!
Get out of the way!
It's burning!
Hi guys, welcome back to Redbeard's Workshop, and today we're going to be building a Gladiator arena for my D&D campaigns. I took ancient history in university, and I'm a massive fan of the Roman period, the Greek period. I love Gladiator arenas, even though most fictional depictions in movies, TV shows, and video games are very false the way they show and portray gladiators. But you know what? When I was vice president of the Classics Club in university, I made sure that all of our graduates got this really cool rudis. Gladiators would be given a wooden sword, which was a wooden gladius called a rudis, with the names of the defeated enemies on it to show that they've earned their freedom. So I came up with this cool idea to give everyone in our department, a rudis with their name and all the courses they defeated to get their degree when they graduated. I'm a big nerd. I love Roman history. I love gladiators. So I thought, you know what? I run all these D&D games. Let's make a cool gladiator arena with some traps and different types of arrangements we can make for it. So without any further ado at all, let's just dive right into the process and watch how I make this incredibly overcomplicated project that I started on July 22nd. June 22nd. I started on June 22nd, and I only finished it yesterday, August 6th. So it took me a long time to get through it, but I hope you all enjoy.
So the design that I'm going with for this Gladiator arena is actually based off of a map I found for online gameplay from Talemaps, which you can find on their Patreon page. I love this just because of the uniqueness of having water inside the arena and the bridge. There's different ways that players can interact with the battle arena and the gameplay surface, which is something I really look for now with building terrain. So I want them to get full credit because even though my end project turns out to be very different from theirs, The basic design was very heavily borrowed from their layout of their arena, so I want them to get full credit, even though ours ends up looking a wee bit different. So you've all seen this method before on some of my terrain videos, where I mix paint, Mod Podge, and water, and then I basically paper mache whatever foam thing I've carved and created. That way the outside is not only sealed and protected, but also has a rough textured terrain like rock or earth or dirt. So I did the same thing with this project. I started on my own, ran out of materials, and so I had to go out and get more before I could continue filming. But the important thing, like I said here, is to make sure that those creases and those spaces in between the layers of foam here were all completely filled, because the plan later is to fill those recesses with colored resin to have the appearance of water underneath. So it's very important that I don't leave any cracks or crevices while I'm doing this part of the project. Alright, and this pretty basic idea here. It's to cover the entire surface that we want to have sand on it with some Mod Podge or some glue of whichever kind you choose, and then we're going to generously kind of coat the outside here with some gravel, like some dirt terrain that I have from a terrain store. You can find this at local hobby stores. It's pretty easy to get a hold of, or you can always look on Amazon. And so yeah, just sprinkle it on here, and then the idea is we want to seal this in and then paint over it so that the arena itself looks like it does have a sand surface. Alright, so next stage is complete. So we finished up putting the sand terrain on here, and it finally dried. And then just in case there was loose gravel, I didn't want to use actual like wet paint in a brush, because then all the little bits of gravel would get caught up in the brush. So I used my primer to just put like a very light coating down on everything, just to kind of seal in the rest of this. And it kind of feels like sandpaper. It's really rough here. And it's nice and textured, like you can see. So it's going to look like sand once we actually get everything painted. So what I'm going to do is paint kind of the outsides of this here, like the walls of the Colosseum. I'm going to use washes, dry brushes, and paint layers to paint the sand here. And then eventually we're going to use our resin to fill the water in here. So we're getting close. So what I have here is I got some white paint and some honeycomb paint, and I made up a little bit of a mixture here, which is kind of like a sand color, maybe a little bit darker than we need it to be. And I've mixed it with water to make it very, very light, because the idea is I want to kind of cover the entire surface of this in that color. And one of the other reasons I made it so watery is not just a spread, but also so that it doesn't sit on top of the grain here too much and make like a kind of like a bubbly, kind of thick surface over top of it. We want it to really soak in so that we still see the grain and we still see this kind of rough dirt-like terrain. So I'm going to get my brush ready, and I'm going to try to spread it over everything here as much as possible. And hopefully the spray of primer and the PVA glue and everything we used helped this terrain set in here enough. It's been a few days, so it's definitely going to be dry enough. And hopefully the paint doesn't pick up too much of this dirt when we put our layer on. So let's get started. Alright, so pretty much for the rest of the video I'm going to be making some traps like some hazards for them to deal with inside the arena itself, from some spinning columns with, you know, spikes on the outsides of them, or an entire like spike wall that they can be pushed into, and then pouring the resin and building little things to decorate the arena with. I'm just going to put in timestamps in the video so you can see exactly which section is being worked on when, but I'm going to avoid talking for the rest of it. Like these little things here that I glued onto the cardstock are little sigils on the wall that they can press to activate fire traps, ice traps, teleport. So just nerdy little fun things like that. Put entrances on either side. So I'm just going to work on all the little details in the video here, and then we'll talk again until the end. So if you want to know what each section is, just look at the timestamp. Other than that, we'll see you at the end of the video.
Alright, so it's only been about an hour, and the resin's pretty hard already. Now, I did use my heat gun, and I went over to try to get rid of the bubbles, and then I left it for an hour. I should have kept looking at it, because a couple little air bubbles formed here and on the corners. Now, it's not the end of the world, because I'm going to be pouring another layer on top of this tomorrow with a lighter blue color. The real problem I ran into is over here. Now, this is bumpy. Still very warm to the touch because the stuff gets really hot. But as you can see, it kind of made like some lumps and rows in the center. Little strange. The only thing I can think of is that I made like 3 different batches to pour this stuff. I'm assuming I just didn't mix this enough. The resin that I use, the same stuff that I used in my magic potion video. And you really have to mix part A and part B together really well. And my best guess, sorry, I got the hiccups. My best guess is that I just didn't mix this portion well enough, and so that's what caused it to separate and kind of bump up like that. It's a little weird, but I mean, thankfully, the air bubbles here, that stuff, hopefully when I pour the next layer and the last layer tomorrow, it'll cover that stuff up and still look okay. But overall, I mean, it's really coming together here, and we're getting close to the end, and then it'll just be whether or not I want to build a pulvinus and some stands on half of it, so my players get a full effect, and, you know, I can still see what's going on, they can still see what's going on. So if I do that, I'm only going to put it on half. So yeah, we'll finish up with the resin tomorrow, and then I'll decide if I'm going to put more detail and more work into this thing or not. So bear with me.
thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and all the little intricate details that I did put into it. It's a little bit more complicated of a project because it is so large, and now I'm having a hard time finding a place to store that in my small little apartment. But you reap what you sow. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I know it was a long time between my last video and this video. Life gets busy sometimes, and it's going to be like that, but I hope to have some other videos out quicker. One of my subscribers, Ryan Walsh, requested some videos of scatter terrain, like some hill and kind of mountainous, rocky, like small things you could just put out based on something that was in the background of my mini painting video. So that's what I'm going to be doing next, because my cat actually destroyed a lot of the ones I have, so I need new ones anyway. So Ryan, thank you for making the suggestion. And the next video I hope to have out in the next couple weeks, if all things go according to plan, will be various environmental terrains based off of the ones in that video as per that request. So thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next time here on Redbeard's Workshop.